All right, you made it to chapter 5. So, my favorite one, we're going to talk about setting goals. I love setting goals, probably more than I should love setting goals, but setting the right kind of goals are really exciting. And I feel like it's something that, as a mom and homeschooling my kids, it's one of the best gifts I gave them was kind of teaching them this part of this course. So, let's start off with the quote that Tal Ben Shahar starts in chapter 5 is happiness grows less from the passive experience of desirable circumstances than from involvement in valued activities and progress towards one goals. Yeah, if like great things happen to you or you get to be included in fun things, but it wasn't something that deep down you were motivated to do from the get-go and wanted to try to achieve, you're not going to get the same happiness out of it. And I talk about this in the couples courses. This was a really big factor for Victor and I because all of our travel goals were something that I was pursuing. I wanted him to pursue things. I wanted him to have work goals and travel goals and all of those or career goals but it just wasn't he wasn't taught this as a child, and he was a byproduct of the system, and so empathetically, you might be a really, really good heart at your core, but you don't have this goal-setting skill set. You weren't taught it, nobody nurtured it, so it can be challenging. But what happened, at least in our case, is because for me, everything was goal-driven. "Hey, I really want to go climb in Italy because the Dolomites are so beautiful, or I really want to go surf this one break." And because it was always based on meaning and pleasure for my goals, it meant so much more. The journey was so much more enjoyable. But for him, because he would just show up and be like, "Yeah, sure, dear, sure, dear, sure, dear, I don't care." And it was kind of conflict avoidant. When I say, "Hey, but I want to pick, like, where do you want to go?" "Wherever you want to go." And it was really became what he probably perceived as I'm being a good boy or a good husband or supportive, ended up causing so much more conflict in the end because when you're not actively choosing things for yourself, then it becomes very, very easy to become reactive or to play the blame game. So, a good life, a happy life is not free of wants, desires, and aspirations. No. That is I hope eventually Victor talks a lot about that because he was raised that a good boy doesn't ask for anything. And so because he never asked for anything, he was never able to step into wanting things. And if you don't want things, then how are you going to have goals, right? But what we want instead is goals that are pleasurable and meaningful. Okay, we say this over and over, pleasure and meaning. All right, so goals and success. In the book, he talks about how people with goals are more likely to succeed. Having explicit objectives that are challenging and specific with clear timeline and performance criteria lead to better performance. Okay, SMART goals. You've probably heard the term SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So, so important. Okay, I thought this part in the book was really interesting how he talks about how these words concept and conceive are so similar. Through concepts, through words, we can conceive, give birth to a new reality. This is why in like law of attraction and manifestation, it's so important to talk about the things that you want in your life. By talking about it, guys, go ask Gabby and Isabel. All I do is talk about our travels. All I do is talk about my plans. Here's where we're going to go. Here's where this is why it took me so long to develop Be the Hero. It's because I'm so busy talking about, here, are we going to travel to Breckenridge, or are we going to go to Big Sky? Or we're like, I'm obsessed over that. And because I talk about it, I get to give birth, I get to create these amazing experiences. As I start talking more about Be the Hero, really, I need to probably be like on a live Zoom every day to go like, hey, where are you at with your goals? Where are you at with your mindset? Where are you at with your health? Where are you at with your understanding of your programming? Obsess over these things. So if you're not talking to me every day about it, talk to your somebody who you're close to, your family, your friends, whatever. find somebody who wants to obsess over this stuff with you, and it will help you give birth to what it is that you want. Now, real quick side note. What I notice is that people get together with their loved ones or their friends and they complain about what's wrong in their life. And so guess what? You give birth to more hardship. Whatever you talk about, you attract. So if you're going to start talking about things, talk about goals and success and happiness and meaning and pleasure. All right. Goals communicate the belief that we are capable of overcoming obstacles. So in the book, he talks about what type of person are you? If you're a hiker and you come across a brick wall, what do you do? What do you do in those situations? When you cross hardship, obstacles, are you the type of person who gives up and turns around? Or do you have the mindset like this quote here and think, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power in it. I didn't know when we first decided to live in an RV for 5 months that it was going to turn into about a decade and counting. I didn't know exactly every single trip where I was going to want to go. In fact, that first year, I never even had the thought that I would ever want to go to Europe, let alone New Zealand or Bali or Costa Rica or like all the different places. So you have to, do those exercises that we did in the previous chapters while simultaneously shifting your mindset. Shifting your beliefs. That's why you're going to go into the Enneagram courses and understand what is that core belief you're holding on to. And then eventually, as you start to figure out, okay, Robin, I got it. This is what I want. I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to start manifesting it. I'm going to body compass it. I'm going to be the person who is that. And I'm also going to hold the right mindset for these things. I can tell you 100% that I'm this person. You put any wall in front of me, I'm going to throw my backpack over the wall and climb the wall. So beliefs are everything. Whatever you can, I could do the quote twice. I'm like, wait, I just read that quote. Okay, so time in. You're going to pause for a second and think about an experience or two where you committed to something. What were the consequences of your commitment? What are you committed to now? Okay, I'm committed to you in this course getting through with clarity on what it is that makes you happy. What are the values that align with your happy self, your self that feels into pleasure, feels into meaning, has that deeper sense of purpose. Okay. So think about it. You're going to pause now. Think of where you are in your commitment level. What have you committed to before? What are you committed to now? Okay. Moving on. The role of goals. Okay. So first, goals aren't enough. Just having a goal is not enough. I see way too many people take goals and turn them into hopiums. That is not the same thing. Goals need to be a specific type of goal that is meaningful, like we talked about, in order for you to be motivated, for you to have emotion. It's got to mean something exciting to you. But more importantly, the journey needs to be pleasurable. You need to know that you're heading in the right direction, and that'll help you enjoy the process. So we can use something simple like climbing up a mountain. So actually, I'm going to use rock climbing because I think of, I experience this a lot when I'm doing multi-pitch rock climbing. So let's say I'm going and we've got to go up 3 pitches. Each pitch is usually about, say, 100 feet. And while yes, the goal is to get to the top of this rock wall mountain and be like, I did it. I'm so strong and so amazing. And look at this view. And you feel proud of yourself and you have this physical accomplishment. Yes, that is great because from that, the meaning is like, hey, I like to see what I'm capable of. I really value capability and it helps me challenge myself to see what I'm capable of. But, when you are rock climbing, if you are not focused and grateful in the present moment, there is a lot at risk. Like rock could break if I'm not paying attention and testing the hold first. Your foot can slip if you're not present and really like noticing how you weight your foot. There's so many things. So you really have to, in those moments, hone in on your present awareness and bring all of your senses in tight to the present moment. You can't be thinking about like your to-do list. You can't be dreaming about your next trip. You have to be in that moment, fully aware. And if I get stressed in that moment or freak out, then there's more chance of getting hurt. So what I have to do on top of it is get to a state of mind where it really is, I say gratitude, where you're calm, where you're purposeful, where you're clear-minded. Okay, Gabby talks a lot about this in her Flow State Warriors course, but it's so important. So let's think of another one. What first taught me this was having kids, having newborns, having babies. I loved the newborn stage. It was so great. And you spend 9 months being pregnant and you're just so excited. The baby's born, you just want to hold them the whole time. And it's hard though at the same time. I remember, you're getting sleepless nights, your boobs hurt from breastfeeding and too much milk. And it's just, there's so much hardship along the way that if at the time I remember thinking like, if I rushed this process and just thought, oh, I just can't wait till they're done with the newborn phase. I just can't wait till they're done at the spit up phase. I can't wait till my child's potty trained. I can't wait till they can talk. I can't wait till wait. And you're just like looking to 18 and that they move out. Why did you have kids to begin with, right? That's not the case. At least for me, I remember having to think back at that time and be like, yeah, it's hard, but like this ends fast. And definitely helped after having one kid because then you knew how fast it went. That I had to slow down and go, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, I might not get as much sleep. Yeah, my boobs might hurt. Yeah, like they spit up a lot. Yeah, I do a lot of laundry. Yeah, they're crying, but it's okay. It's You really have to enjoy the journey in order for you to be happy. Happiness requires that. And I think a lot of women who have postpartum depression, they probably need somebody stepping in and reminding them that, like, hey, this is happiness. Yeah, I know it feels like depression, but it's not. You're just tired and your hormones are out of whack. Maybe you're not eating as good as you could be, or, maybe you're not getting the support and massages like you need to decompress and all this stuff, but we have to reframe to enjoy the journey because it's not going to be permanent. Everything's temporary. Life is always changing, right? So it's very important. Now, here's the next thing though I see, and this kind of comes back to what I've experienced firsthand in my marriage, because my husband didn't have goals and still struggles to make goals, that every time there's a fork in the road, physically and metaphorically, but more metaphorically, there is this overwhelming feeling of hesitancy and uncertainty. Well, if you're constantly in that state of, I'm not sure, I'm not sure what to do, and I'm just going to sit here and stress about it and worry and like not making decisions because you don't know where you're trying to go, that creates a whole cycle of health implications, a whole series of negative stressors, negative thoughts, create negative emotions, create poor health, right? And so it's so important that for your health, I have that in the next slide actually, move this down, that we reframe, that we have goals, we have to know where we're headed, but that they're not the end result. They're the means. They are the meat and potatoes. Just the having the goal is the goal. Because goals allow us to experience a sense of well-being while we're doing. If I'm a mom and I'm tired and my baby's crying, I'm all constantly feeding them, and I just want, let's just get this over with. Let's just fast forward to 18 and be done with it. Then I'm not going to have a sense of well-being, right? But if I shift it to be like, yeah, this is hard, but this is part of it. And there's going to be a lot of meaningful moments where they say their first word and they hug you and say, Mommy, I love you so much and stuff. So we have to reframe that we need a goal and we need to make sure that we're enjoying the journey. There's a quote in here that people seeking greater well-being would be well advised to focus on the pursuit of A, goals involving growth, connection, and contribution, rather than goals involving money, beauty, and popularity, and B, goals that are interesting and personally important to them, rather than goals that just feel forced or pressure to pursue, which we're going to get into. Okay, so first, think about this. This is your time in that you're going to pause. What goals have provided you with the most happiness in the past in terms of facilitating a pleasurable as well as meaningful journey? Okay. When have you been the most happy? And it's from self-propelled goals that were like, hey, this is going to give me meaning when I achieve it. And it's also going to give me pleasure in the process of doing it. What goals do you believe will do the same for you in the future? Okay, really take some time with this one because we're going to go, you're past oriented, what has worked in the past, and then pause and think, what could work in the future for me? Okay, the meat and potatoes is self-concordant goals. This is what you're aiming for. Okay, this is huge. This is what it takes to be the hero of your story. Goals that are in alignment with your intrinsic values. And we need to think about what that means because I do work with people in coaching that I know it feels like you're doing this, but you're not actually doing this because it's still coming from a lot of times the goals I hear people say are still coming from programming. They're still coming from what society or your parents told you you're supposed to do. It's coming from the 3D reality that money doesn't grow on trees and you need to chase safety and security. It's the antithesis of law of attraction. Okay, so self-concordant goals. That means there's a self-choice goals from a deep personal conviction or a strong interest. Take Be the Hero. I am so passionate about self-growth. I think self-growth is the most amazing thing in the world because when you have self-growth, you start to like understand yourself. And when you start to understand yourself, you love yourself. You test things out and you start to realize, oh, wait, I'm not that. Oh, wait, I could be that. Oh, I like being this. Let me try to feel into this more. And when you start doing that, you develop a deep conviction for authenticity. This is me. I love who I am. Who I am right now at 48, totally different than who I was at 38 or 28. But at every stage, you get to develop more, you carve out more of what you like about yourself and you let go of those things that you thought you cared so much about. So it's so important for you to have that in yourself. What is your strong interest or deep personal conviction you have? I believe. I am and I believe. I want. Okay. What are the things? Money's not an object. All the stuff we talked about over these 5 days. Okay. You should feel as if they are things that you choose and they're not imposed on you. They should be pursued because you really want them, because you find significant and enjoy, and they're, sorry, I butchered that, because you find them significant and enjoyable, but not from obligation. You can really tell I rushed through my slide making today again. They stem from a desire to express part of yourself rather than from a need to impress others. Okay, that's a big part. Think about what I just said there. How often do you do things from a space of, I want to impress people? I tell this story in lots of different other places, lots of places, where it's like, that's really about the time that I read this book, The Happier Book. I had this beautiful home. I tried to make it look like Pottery Barn catalog. And I really wanted, like, if somebody came by my house, I wanted everything perfect because I wanted them to think I was perfect if my house looked perfect. I didn't know any better. Now it's like I still like things clean, but because it makes me feel spacious. It makes me feel like things are orderly. And for me, a lot of that is just not having too much stuff, like very little things on counters, everything put away. Now, what about from a desire to express part of yourself? Well, I like my space very clean, so that it makes me very excited to record stuff because I think I overly share a lot of my thoughts and my sense of self and my stories and my success and my failures on video in here, YouTube, Instagram. Sometimes I'm too much of an open book, but I'm expressing like, this is me. This is what I think is amazing and exciting. And yeah, there's days I have self-doubt and self-judgment, but I try to just sleep it off and get up and do more. Be more expressive. Let yourself be seen. It's hard. I get it. But you too have the exact same thing. You too want to express yourself. you too feel like you need to impress others just because that's what everyone else does, but you probably deep down are like, I don't really want to do that anymore. It's not fun. Okay. However, this is another key part. It is very difficult. This is a difficult skill to figure out what self-concordant goals are. It requires both accurate self-perceptual abilities. Say that again. It's a difficult skill requiring both accurate self-perpetual abilities, perceptual abilities, and the ability to resist social pressures that sometimes push one in inappropriate directions. Yeah, I just really butchered that spelling there. Typed too fast. Anyways, what that means is sometimes we can't figure out what the goal is that we want because we're so used to society creating the goals for us that we're drowning and exhausted and in too much debt to create space in our life for us to think like, what would be fun for me right now? What do I want to pursue? Or we haven't been taught how to observe ourselves. Remember that idea of metacognition? If you're not really good yet, you will be. If you stay and be the hero, we'll teach you how to be good at this. But if you can't observe yourself when you're in the moment, it's hard for you to see what it is that you like and don't like. Okay, so just keep that in mind that it's going to take time to develop the skill of self-observation to hear the inner dialogue that's happening as you're living life. Okay. And the last one is, I can move my slide. You need to know what you want to do with your life and have the courage to be true to those wants. So once you know the wants, that's where I can really step in and help you with the how and the bravery and the confidence to step into that. Okay, that's really where we're going to try to go through over the next 6 months to a year while you're in Be the Hero to learn how to be courageous enough to go after your dreams. I had thrown in this slide. This is from, we have a lot of, use this slide in a lot of our webinars, but epigenetics. Remember how important epigenetics are. It's not your genes that make you sick. You don't get diabetes or high blood pressure or all those things because it's genetic. It's that you were trained to react to the world through your family, your parents, extended family. They taught you how to think and feel your reaction. That's what causes it. And that's all stemmed in how you handle stress. When your stress goes up, your genes, which are responsible for your immune function, start to downregulate. But in periods of very high emotion, low stress, and happiness, that's why you're doing the course, right? To be happy. You keep that elevated emotion for like 10 minutes, your genes start to upregulate, which means your immune system bumps up. So it's so important to do these exercises because if you learn to be happier, then your stress goes down. Your stress goes down, your immune function goes up, your genes upregulate, you stay healthier. Okay. So we'll just end with that. I don't have to go through all of that. We've done it in other ones. All right. Are you ready? Last time in exercise. What are some of your self-concordant goals? Are there any internal or external barriers that prevent you from pursuing these goals? In my book, A Playful Life, I talk about taking control of your environment, like people who want to exercise or want to lose weight and are trying to exercise more, making it so your environment's set up for that. Like you have a yoga mat in front of the TV or by your couch. You have your tennis shoes for running set out next to your bed when you wake up. You have put neem powder sitting on the counter. So in the morning after your cup of coffee, you have a neem ball or before. Okay. So pause and write down what are your self-concordant goals right now and think about your environment. Do you have self-limiting beliefs that are preventing you? Or do you have an environment? Is your space, is your schedule keeping you from doing this? Okay, do that and then come back. Okay, I said that was our last time in, but I guess there's one more. Okay, want to versus have to. This is very obvious, right? Have tos can be self-imposed though. Like we have to go to work or we have to go grocery shopping, we have to make dinner, we have tos, but a lot of them are things based on our belief, like such as prestige. We have to have this certain appearance. We have to have this desire to please people or obligation or fear. Those type of have tos are often devoid of meaning and pleasure. Be brutally honest with yourself here. Okay. You're going to probably do the chakra course at some point, or maybe you've already done it. And we talk about this in heart chakra and sacral chakra a lot. How you value yourself plays a role in what kind of boundaries you can set, how much you overgive, right? And versus how much you give just the appropriate amount and give to yourself too. Or if you have a blocked root chakra, are you doing things out of fear, scarcity? Okay. Life is a series of chores they have to carry out, that you have to carry out, as opposed to activities that you want to engage in. Is the primary motivation for what you do, for your have tos versus your want tos, is it intrinsically driven or extrinsically driven? Are you doing it because you get a sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment, or are you getting affirmation, approval, acceptance, validation, all those words? Okay, just like we talked about with the values, and you have the workshop values that steal and values that serve. So another time in, think about a typical day. Maybe you need to look back at your chapter 3 exercise, mapping your life, but think about a typical day. Are there more have tos or more want tos? Generally, do you look forward to the start of your week? Okay, it's really important. What's my mantra? Wake up excited. If you are not living a life you are excited to wake up to, it's time to change it. Okay, I can help you. You're not stuck. Nobody's stuck. All right, so let's see. Time in. I don't know. I was off. I was really off today. I'm like, have more time ins than I realized. Okay, so Tal Ben Shahar talks about, I think it was a psychology professor that told him to do this, or a mentor, but said, hey, make a list, draw a big circle on a paper and make a list of all the things you can do. I think this is almost better on note cards though, but all the things you can do. Then separate out, what do you want to do? Okay, now's when it gets fun. Of those things that you want to do, what are the things you really want to do? And then what are the things you really, really want to do? So I'm a little bit fortunate, spoiled, entitled. No, just kidding. I'm fortunate that we travel all the time and we get to sit there and think like, well, where do we want to travel to? In fact, I'm looking above me at this map of the world, Adventures of the Robledo Family. I should show it to you really quick. Oh no, you can see it, but it shows a world map and all the places we could go or that we've gone, want to go. And I end up in this condensed circle that is Colorado, a little bit of Oregon, a little bit of Washington, a little bit of Idaho, some Montana, but not so much now, and Wyoming. And I stay on this circle in this loop. And we basically do this loop now twice a year because I do the same loop. It's almost the same loop for skiing as this loop is for like climbing and hiking and mountain biking. But we talk all the time about we should go to Tahiti or we should go back to Europe. And we could. And then I go, do I want to? Well, I don't know. I've been there. It was okay, but I really like this loop. And then I go, well, what do I really want to do? Well, I want to do this loop. And then I start putting on a list, like I talked about in the last video with Jiraiya, of in 52 weeks, I can't even hit all the places that I really want to in that loop. So then I have to filter it down to what do I really, really want to do? And I just pick those spots. And it's kind of cool that after 9 years, I've really fine-tuned that. That doesn't mean it won't change. It might, but like right now, I just know that that's happiness. So think about it. Let me finish out. I'm going to finish out these slides and you're going to come back and do this exercise. Tal talks about how him and his wife changed the idea from deadlines to lifelines. Because if you're doing a self-concordant goal, it's exciting. It's enlivening. Like you feel more life come into you. Whereas when it's a deadline, that's like implying it's killing you. And that's not what these goals should feel like. It should be like, what what goals would bring you to life? Okay. Follow your bliss. I listen to Abraham Hicks stuff a lot. I try to lead you guys in this idea of empowerment, which is really manifestation, which is really law of attraction. Like, just follow your bliss. I'm not perfect at it. There are still times when anger gets the best of me, and eventually I'm going to really feel like I can show you a really good roadmap in relationships, because that's where it's usually the hardest sticking point for me, um, in marriage. But the thing is like, if you can just honestly, if you can be in a marriage where two people can do this activity and stay in that frequency of follow your bliss, if you have self-concordant goals, secret to happy marriage is actually this. If both people can have self-concordant goals and maintain self-discipline for that and just follow that bliss, you probably can have a really happy, successful marriage very long term. It's not always that easy, right? To make these goals. Some of them are hard, and sometimes we have to make hard decisions, and sometimes self-limiting beliefs get in the way, and sometimes old emotional wounds come up, and we just get better. We get better and better at observing them and modifying them. Okay. Um, this last little bit is about self-concordant goals. People who articulate, speak them, right? And pursue self-concordant goals are generally both happier and more successful. Whew, can't talk anymore. Um, okay, I have 4 different things for you too. So I just kind of talked about, there's Victor and I working on our relationship goals together. It was a picture from one of our YouTube videos, but I just said, like, relationships really do define us. So how I mentioned, it really helps if you're in a relationship, if you and your spouse can go through this happiness course together, and if you both have concordant goals, then you can come together and go, okay, how do we integrate these as a team? Okay, that's one. Two is create a happiness board, which is like board of directors, like that, not like a vision board, although that would help too. But get a team. Like, it's nice because Gabby, Isabel, and I can come together and be really motivated in our travels together and in this business together. Find your team, make it happy. Find somebody who's going to help keep you accountable. That's where coaching comes in. It's great. I can help you stay there and be like, hey, where are you at? Okay, well, I think you wanted to be here. Like, can I help you get back on back on track? Can I help you? Let's identify what's causing you to drown. Let's identify what current is taking you off your track to that island that you want to be at. Also, in Be the Hero, we have that goal setting mastery it breaks it down. This is very easy. This is my favorite thing to do, is to take a goal. This is my goal, and I can go, perfect. This is how you break it down into tasks. This is how you take the tasks and put it into your schedule. So these are what you need to accomplish this week, this day, this month. It's just my first function is TE. So it's very easy for me to see. This is the plan that it would take. Okay. So that's how we go from a long-term goal. You should have, especially if you're in a marriage, you should have long-term goals from 1 to 30 years. And they need to challenge you. If they're not challenging you, you're not going to have that motivation, right? You're not going to be, you're going to become complacent and decide, oh, I'm just going to pick up my phone and scroll. But you also have to make them pleasurable, because they need to be happy. So we need that meaning and pleasure. Okay. That enjoy the journey and know that that destination is going to be worthwhile. Short-term goals is just chunking it down using goal setting mastery. Action plan is putting it in a calendar. And that's why I put the best self journal there. Those are really great. They're great for training you to think this way. Sometimes they are tedious for me because my brain just automatically thinks like this. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend 15 minutes putting in my best self journal when I already have it in my brain. But when I fall off my own path of goals, I pull it out. It only takes me one day of like, all right, best self journal, here we go. And I'm like back on track again. So I have a link to that below too. Basically, this is all about what we talked about in day 3 of your best life blueprint. got to break it down. You got to have clear vision of the goals. You've got to chunk it down into manageable tasks. I'm guilty totally of making my tasks, my vision so big. My task becomes so big. In fact, that's why I can't talk today, is because I was trying to get this all finished and get these other videos uploaded for another course, and I catch it. Like, I aim so big and I think, oh man, if I just had 3 days, I'd get them all done. And I then have those 3 days and I realize that I need 3 days just to get a third of one thing done. That's like a little shocking to my system for a second, like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed. And then I go, no, no, no. We're going to eat the elephant one bite at a time. Okay. All right. I believe that is it. That is it. You made it. You made it. So great. Now, there's more to this book. However, in this course for this is all we're going into, because now you finish these assignments. It is time for you to move on to your programming, to your Enneagram. Now you know what you want, but you need to really understand how your thoughts could be getting in your way and what to do about it. Okay. I really hope you enjoyed this. I'd love some comments below. Let me know if my misspellings really bothered you. I'm really sorry about that. I should have proofread them beforehand, but I was juggling too much. And it's part of the price I pay for this type of lifestyle and trying to juggle this, but that's okay. It's worth it. I love it. Is that, all of a sudden we get Wi-Fi and I'm like, shh, get it as fast as you can, because you never know. Wi-Fi is like the Loch Ness Monster. It is elusive in this lifestyle. And so, take it when you can. All right. Namaste.